I was just listening to a NPR study report, what have you, on it was on Marketplace too, of all things, about uh, basically the difference between how essentially how white parents raise their white kids and think that they're trying to instill a non-racist attitude in the kids, yet driving around, the little white boy sees a bunch of black kids in a snowball fight and remarks that they're in a bad neighborhood. Um, okay, so what that got me to thinking about is my parents were raised in Los Angeles and then decided to move down to near the border, farming community. And um, we weren't part of a church. We were outsiders to a small town farming community. And we had neighbors. We had, neighbors as kids, the same age as myself and my brother. We were able to play with those kids and socialize. I'm trying to think now. Predominantly Hispanic. There were, like, every now and then there'd be some Caucasians. There almost always there was a Caucasian family next to us, but almost always it was Hispanics that we were friends with, or that we were able to engage with in playtime and socializing. But I think, all right. So something interesting about that I'm noticing with Imperial County is that you have this minority Caucasian population, and predominantly the Caucasians are either the landowners, the families of the farmers, or business owners. So they inherited, most likely, or in some cases started a business that was able to survive and become strong and powerful in the local economy. And you also had that with some Hispanic families. But there's something about the white kids in Imperial County, like some of them, and this was evidenced in a high school, that some of these white kids, they felt themselves above the law, that they were, above the crowd. They're superior in whatever sort of way. And this was even evidenced in terms of there was a mock trial team that the rumor went around that they were going to basically, because we were going away for a competition and staying in a motel room, that they were going to basically engage in shenanigans, have some alcohol, or I forget now what it was exactly that you're doing, but I'm fairly certain it involved alcohol. And the rumor floated around. Parents and administrators, school teachers, they learned about the rumor, told the kids who were going on the mock trial trip, like, look, don't do this, don't engage in any of these bad activities. They even wrote up a document and had the kids sign, specifying, they would be on good behavior, they're not going to drink alcohol, they're not going to do, bad things. Um, the team went off to the event. They did well on the first day or two. I think it was like a 3-day event, and so the first 2 days, or at least the first day, they were successful. They're ready. They moved from the quarterfinals to the semifinals, and I think we're even set to go to the final round. Or yeah, they probably so I guess they went to the semifinals and were able to, like they were basically 1-2 rounds away from potentially winning. And a number of the kids decided, all right, we're gonna party, we're gonna drink and stuff. And they were caught, and the administrator said, okay, well, we told you, we warned you, we had you sign the paperwork, so it wasn't everybody, but we can't divide what we're doing here, and we can't condone or allow you guys to continue. So they forfeited the competition and packed up everybody and left. And the students who had not done anything bad, they're crying because their chances were dashed because their team failed them. When they got back home, as part of the punishments, they were denied prom, they were denied senior trip, they were denied, I almost want to say like they were denied walking at graduation, and would also face suspension and some other punishments. Because they basically upped the punishment to really discourage these kids. Like, look, don't do this thing. We will severely punish you guys if you do. Now, what happened was the parents got upset, and since I think there was maybe 1 to 2 Hispanic kids involved, and 5 to 6 or so white kids involved. The parents, these are the affluent, rich people. They rallied, they confronted the school and got their lawyers involved. The school backed down, and I think, I don't remember if they were denied the senior trip, but they were allowed to prom, they were allowed to graduate and walk. I think the suspensions were reduced, or something to that effect. But it was just very scandalous, and just like are you kidding me? It's how would you have all these threats and then be cowed by angry parents, a handful of angry parents and a lawyer or two. Like how does that work? How does that play out? So the idea is that you want things to be equal. You want the justice system to be equal. You want people to feel that if I do right, then right will happen. And if bad things happen, then bad things will happen. And but if there's going to be punishments, then the punishment goes to those who deserve it. And back in 1996, El Centro, the school administrators backed down. And you could almost wonder that because it was a small enough community, that the school board, they're in some cases related to the parents of these miscreant students. They go to the same churches. They're part of the same society halls, the Elks Lodge, or the Moose Lodge, or what have you. And so after hours, or social events and what have you, it's the same handful of people who interact, hang out with each other. So you would be facing, the parents and the administrators would be facing each other, interacting with each other, having to, they can't change their lives or they can't change their social circles because there is no other social circle in the small farming community. And this is a small city. That's the other surprising thing about it. But the like how do you deal with this discrepancy? How do you deal with I mean, it's sad that this lesson of wealth and influence will dictate law or will trump law, and it's sad, that to see this happen and to for misbehavior to not be punished. It's what authority do you have and hold? And the school was already dealing with these authority issues. They implemented a dress code, which everybody thought just found laughable, but can't do anything because they're the administrators, and all I have to do is have that piece of paper, and now somebody's punished. And the person they sent to, because the students were riled up, were upset about this. So they said, okay, we'll have a meeting after school. People can go to, and the students can go to and raise their concerns. And they sent the vice principal, and the man, it was just strange how he presented himself, because he talked for about an hour, just talking and talking, and what I remember is that he seemed to be talking in circles, like not really making too much sense or making too much of a point, just repeating things and holding to whatever sort of line. And then when the students were finally able to talk an hour later, and that's the thing, because he's talking for an hour, the students are leaving because they're like, well, what am I doing here? This is wasting my time, or I'm not. I have other things to do. Practice to go to, or what have you. And so we're finally able to speak and present our case, and just dismissive. Just total lack of respect, total lack of not listening to what the students are saying. These were the smart students. These were the people who, they're part of the mock trial. They're part of the speech and debate team. They're part of, they took the classes that were ran by the teachers who really challenged their students and made the students realize, okay, you have the ability to do things, to speak, to present your ideas in straight, cohesive, coherent, methods and manners. And it's, the rumor mill, what are kids going to say to each other afterwards, and we told everybody. And it's funny how that administrator, that vice principal, soon after left and became the principal of the other high school. And the word that I received afterwards, after I graduated, was that he was a bad principal there. He did a poor job and didn't have the respect of the teachers. So part of why I wanted to make this video was that I was thinking, you have a small community, and as a result, who runs that community? who lives in that community. They're gonna, these people are gonna have families, and they're gonna feel privileged if they're running the community, if they, are, the businesses that are the backbone of the community, of the local economy. And they're part of this inner circle of people, social circles that they're able to dictate how the community is run, what happens in that community. And their kids are going to take advantage of that, whether they realize it or not.
Exit right to I-605. Then stay to the right.
Kids misbehaving, kids breaking the rules. And while we don't like what the school is saying, we don't like how the school is going to hold these kids to this flimsy paper document. So we challenge you. We'll take you to court.
Exit right to I-605.
And since
then stay to the right to I-605
the school district
south.
have little to no money, being a poor farming community, they can't go to court. They can't say like, well, we're gonna go to court over this. We're gonna fight this lawyer over what?
Right,
a handful of kids
south.
who misbehaved, who broke the rules, and we ended up signing documents, contracts saying they weren't going to misbehave, and just like what can the school do? They can't stand up to that. They don't have the money. They don't have the resources to deal out the punishment. And instead they end up punishing people who didn't deserve to be punished. People who, they did the right thing. They didn't break the rules. And that was something that could have helped their education, their
exit 98, Rosecrans Avenue.
Their future. This is what would help them in college. And that future was ruined because of a handful of kids who wanted to screw around. So, how do you live in society with that? How do you... Anyways, but the other thing I wanted to get back to was that I feel if my parents had stayed in Los Angeles, they complain about the traffic, but I am of the opinion the amount of opportunities available to myself, the amount of friends I could have made, people of different backgrounds, and the different opportunities available. It's like, but it's also in terms of the decency of people.
In 1 mile.
You would I would meet these people who, there would be the bad kids, but the thing is, there would be so many other kids, I wouldn't be dealing with those bad kids, or I would know to stay away from them. Because my parents,
shoulder ahead.
They said, they knew, they understood, hey, these are good, these are bad people, who do you associate with, the good or the bad? I was raised right in that respect. But if the circle of friends, the social circle, is limited, what then? And by limited, include the fact that we didn't go to the church. So, just some things I've been noticing and thinking about.